Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff. Call her champion. Call her champion. The 2023 U.S. Open champion at 19 years old, Coco Gauff, has truly been through a spiritual initiation. Now, I know y'all are probably wondering, well, what type of spiritual initiation are we talking about? Like, did she have to sacrifice somebody in the family? Did she have to do something outrageous, sell out in order to get to this wonderful accomplishment? And the answer is no, right? No, not that I think of, right? I don't think that it's that. This spiritual initiation that I'm talking about is really when you go through this process of reformment, right? Or refinement. It's when you're being forged by fire. It is when you're turning coal into a diamond, wine into water, lead into gold. The whole point and process of going through spiritual initiations is so that we can shape shift and shed some of the things that are not serving us, some of the things that are not in alignment with who we are actually called to be. All right. So spiritual initiations is basically a rite of passage. Now, sometimes it happens culturally, like within the family, there's these rites of passage, these things that you have to do. For example, in the Jewish community, you may have a bat mitzvah. In the Spanish community, you may have a quinceañera. In the African American community or the American community in general, you may have a sweet 16, right? These are all initiations that we all go through at some point in time to welcome us into a new state of being. And so Coco Gauff has been through a spiritual initiation that has allowed her to enter the realm of champion at this level, at the highest level that you can be at in the world of tennis. And as a person who has followed the story and the journey of Coco Gauff since she was 15, since she first came on the scene, right? Since she first, was invited to play at this professional level, I can tell you exactly to a T what spiritual work she's had to go through in order to get to this place. I can tell you exactly some of the things that she's had to overcome in order for her to be the champion that she is today. Okay. So first things first, one of the first ways that we are spiritually initiated, one of the first ways that she was spiritually initiated was through all of those losses that she was taking from 15 up until now 19 as a professional tennis player at this level. What I mean by that is, though she was 15, though she was going against women who were twice her age, right? Though she was still having to compete at this very high level, though she was young, those losses were necessary. Those losses were necessary. She said something so good in her U.S. Open championship post-game interview, where she said at 15, she thought she had to do it now. At 15, she thought she had to be the champion right now in this moment. She had to have it all figured out. She had to be the winner at 15. Okay. That's the mentality that she had. And she battled with that mentality for many, many years until this point now where she's gotten to where she's actually become the winner. So losses, taking L's, having to deal with the heartbreak, the letdown, the resentment that comes when you are facing these challenges in life is a part of the initiation. Because these losses don't necessarily equate to failure. What they are is learning opportunities. Okay, that's what it is. And so as Coco Gauff from the age of 15 till now took some major losses, she, time is of the essence. Time is such a beautiful thing because with time you get better. Who she was at 15 and how she responded in those adverse situations, in those challenging matches, she is not that person now. She is not that person today. Time has given her the ability to evolve her mental, emotional, spiritual strength, and that is spiritual initiation. Who you were who you are today is not the same person you were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. You've experienced many, many losses that have allowed you to evolve and be more self-aware, be more self-empowered, have more mental toughness. Now you can be the champion of your own life because you've already experienced so many downfalls. You've already experienced so many challenges where you've had to bounce back, you've had to recover, you've had to restart, reset, and keep going. So the same thing has happened to Coco Gauff. From 15 to 19, she's had to take many losses on big stages, all televised, right? And through those losses, she's had to learn the lessons. She's had to take in the wisdom, and that comes from spiritual initiation. Now, a lot of times people don't see it as that because they look at their situation as if the world is up against them, which Coco Gauff did mention in her U.S. Open post-game interview that she felt that same way. Okay, so that leads me to number two when it comes to spiritual initiation for Coco Gauff. So the first thing was she got initiated through losses. She got initiated through what people may perceive as failures and her not being ready to succeed at the level that she did. So that's one. Number two is you have to be fueled by the fire. See, the fire that Coco Gauff was experiencing, she actually mentioned in the interview where she said people were literally tweeting her, messaging her, adding her on all of these social medias and saying, oh, this is it for Coco Gauff. This is who she's going to be. This is as far as she's going to go. How many of you have had naysayers? How many of you have had people, family, friends, associates who tried to limit you to where you were going to go and who you were going to be? How many of you have had that experience and actually believed what they said and therefore didn't allow yourself to evolve and grow and become the champion that you were meant to be? So Coco Gauff's initiation was to, like she said verbatim, some of y'all thought y'all were pouring some water on my fire, but you were really adding gas to my fire, right? Sis did not come to play. The way that you cultivate that level of spiritual power is you got to go through some stuff. Right? You got to go through some stuff, but a part of spiritual initiation is understanding your calling, right? Is understanding your power and understanding that at certain levels of power, you are going to have these low vibrational dark energies and entities that want to attack you because it is their goal to distract you from where you are supposed to go. And so these naysayers, these gossipers, these people who don't believe in what you're capable of doing, they will come up, they will throw stones, they will try to cast you into the fire to try to stop you or try to start to dim your light in order to block you from shining how you're supposed to shine. And that's a very intense spiritual initiation process to go through because everybody wants to feel loved. Everybody wants to be supported. Everybody wants to feel uplifted and appreciated. So when you have all of these people who are not doing that, that can weigh heavy on you. And you have to develop mental, spiritual, emotional strength in order to healthfully combat that energy so that you can get to where you got to go. So the second initiation that supported Coco Gauff in becoming the champion that she is today is she had to be fueled by that fire. She had to not let the negativity and the judgment and the criticism that was being thrown at her, she had to not let that dim her light, but allow it to fuel her, allow it to encourage her, allow it to keep her going. Because at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is you're always going to have people that are rooting for you, and you're always going to have people that are hoping and praying that you lose. That is something that we cannot control within this human experience. So the question is, how are you going to use that energy? Are you going to let the naysayers, the gossipers, the talk downers, the haterators, are you going to let them dim your light, blow out your fire? Or are you going to allow them to fuel you? Now, this takes emotional maturity. You have to get to a point to where you do not allow the people who don't see the vision, the people who don't desire to see you grow. You have to get to a point to where you don't let that dictate how you show up. And so Coco Gauff showed that to us year after year after year after year. I have been so invested in Coco Gauff because I have a I have a very sacred kind of connection and understanding to her as a former college athlete, as a former professional volleyball player. Like, I get it, right? I've been her. I've been the girl who had all the talent, who had all the ability, but did not have the emotional, mental, and spiritual strength. I've been that girl who was afraid while I was showing up on this court or while I was doing this specific work, who was scared that I couldn't live up to uh, everything that people were saying. I've been that. And that's what it is. When you have all of these people who have high expectations of you, like we did of Coco Gauff, because I had high expectations for her, but I also understand the process of growth, transformation, and allowing things to happen in divine timing, right? But I've been there. I've been afraid, right? I've I've carried more on my body, more I've carried a heavier burden mentally, emotionally, and spiritually than what I actually needed to carry, right? I remember very vividly, I had won player of the year 2 years in a row. This is so crazy. See, Coco Gauff story is a little bit different than mine. 2 years in a row in my younger years in college, my sophomore year and my junior year, I won player of the year for the conference, right? Meaning, out of all the girls and all the schools that I competed against, I won player of the year. Great accomplishment. I didn't even have the goal to make that accomplishment. I just was like, okay, I'm playing, I'm having fun, I'm just getting this college degree and doing my thing. Anyways, my senior year comes, y'all, and I am so scared. I played scared my entire senior year. Why? Because I had just won the two biggest accolades that you could win, right? In your conference. I just won them. I have a whole nother year to play. So of course, other girls are like, yeah, I'm coming for that. She don't need to win 3 years in a row. Of course, my coaches and my teammates, they expect me to play at this certain level after you win such a title. And so my senior year, y'all, I played scared the whole time. I played scared. I played timid because I felt stressed. Like I had to show up and be this person. Fortunately enough, I had enough just physical talent and enough uh, uh, memory in my body that I just knew what to do to still be fairly successful. But the same amount of freedom that I played with my sophomore and my junior year, I didn't play with in my senior year. And so my senior year comes, the end of we have at the end of the year ceremony with all of the teams, and I did not win player of the year. And I was heartbroken by that, but I knew why I didn't. I knew I played scared. I knew I played timid. And so what we see from Coco Gauff from 15 till now is that there were times where she played more reserved, a little bit more fearful, and she carried more weight because she felt like she had these expectations to live up to. I mean, she's this 15-year-old tennis phenom. She's the next Serena Williams. And so she had all of this intensity and pressure on her that, it's hard to show up and equal up and live up to those expectations, especially when there's a certain level of fear that you can't do it. And so what has supported Coco Gauff, what spiritual initiation she experienced at this point was detachment. Okay. See, when we are too attached to the outcome, this is what blocks us from actually getting to the result. And so something that Coco Gauff said that was so genius that I really resonated with. And when she won, I cried. In her interviews, I was crying. I was like, oh my God, this girl is really touching me in some very deep ways. And the energy right now is so important. You have to think Coco Gauff won on 9/9, which is a very spiritual day. She won on 9/9. Somebody told me that all of the names and all of the letters in her name also equals a 9. She did this at 19 and she won $3 million. 3 is a multiple of 9. So this is a very divine time, and we can look at Coco Gauff's experiences and try to implement some of that energy into our lives so that we can become the champion of the personal things, the personal goals that we have. Anyways, Coco had to detach. See, a lot of times we're too attached to the result. And that is why spirit will make us go through a heavy initiation process so that we learn to surrender these labels, these titles, these results. Oh, this happened. This means I'm a success. Because when you're thinking from that perspective, those energies have dominion over you, and you're forgetting about the whole process and you're just focusing on the end result. When actually, you want to embrace what is happening in the present moment, because in the present moment is the only thing that we actually have. And so throughout Coco's multiple interviews where they were asking her how has she gotten to this point, she kept on saying she's just living in the moment. She had to learn, she had to understand that whether she won or lost, she's still a divine sacred being. She had to understand that these tennis championships and these tennis games do not define who she actually is. This is just a great fun job that she gets to have. And so she had to detach. And I loved hearing her say over and over and over again, I have a great life. I have a great life. I'm so fortunate. So there's no reason for me to be on this court and be all uptight and stressed and letting negative thoughts run crazy in my head and then not allowing me to show up. There's no reason for me to live that way because I already got within myself, I am great. Without the accolades, without the championship, without the trophy, without the money, I am great. That is spiritual initiation. See, sometimes our spirits will make our higher divine selves will make us lose everything so that we can remember to the core who we actually are and what keeps us grounded. And when we get reconnected to that divine sacred energy, now everything in the physical realm becomes easy. All of the desires, all of the wins, all of the money, all of the abundance that you want, that becomes easy because you've become reconnected to who and what you actually are. So some of the interviewers asked Coco Gauff, how important is your faith? And she said, it's so important. It's everything that I rely on as I'm doing this work. I cannot do this work without having a connection to God, without that sacred relationship. I cannot even be here without that. And so a lot of times when you are too attached to the world, to the physical reality, to impressing people and to winning this and getting that, you're more attached to that than you are tuned into your higher divine spiritual self. And so Coco had to experience all of the naysayers, had to experience the losses, had to experience all of those challenges, right? And we've literally seen Coco have experiences where, she may be playing well and then something will not go in her favor and everything just goes downhill. We've literally observed that multiple times from her. But she had to experience that so that she can gain dominion over the game and therefore become a champion. Because at the end of the day, it is still a game, just a high paying game. Okay. And so family, you all should definitely look at Coco Gauff's life, her progression up until this point, and see how these things can apply to you. Understand that we all have to go through spiritual initiations. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel nice. It's not well, sometimes it can be depending on what you're getting initiated into, right? Like the initiation into motherhood. You may have a baby shower, you may have a blessing way, and that's all nice and sweet or whatever. But then there's the other part of the initiation, which is labor and delivery, which can be heavy, intense, and painful. But when you come out, you recognize a whole new, deeper level of personal power, strength, and confidence in yourself. So initiations are always happening. And in fact, y'all, I think we are all in a certain level of an initiation right now during this month of September, and actually starting in August. We entered into this portal of spiritual initiation where we had to make sacrifices. We had to take on certain challenges. We had to create new disciplines so that at the end of the month and moving into the fall season, we actually have the skills and the character development that we need to be the champions of our own life. So from 15 to 19, Coco Gauff was going through character development. And here's something so divine that I heard the other day that I want you all to really sit with and really lean into. Whatever you do your best. Whatever you are doing, Whatever you are into right now, just do your best. I heard this great wise teacher say, um, he said, the reason why you always want to do your best at whatever it is that you are doing is because one day it will start working for you. One day it will start working for you. So whatever y'all are out there doing, like Coco Gauff, she's just showing up every day, doing her best, doing her best, doing her best, and now she finally wins this $3 million reward. Now she's finally the champion at 19 years old. But from 15 to 19 and her showing up in this professional space, even though the tennis wasn't necessarily working out as far as the results go, the games that she's lost and the naysayers and the gossip and the challenges and the attachments were working on her. Okay? Let me put it another way. You keep showing up in your best at whatever it is you've been called to. Eventually it will work out for you. Eventually you become the champion, you become the winner, you get your reward. Until then, as you're still doing the work, as you're still putting your best effort, putting your best foot forward, that work is actually working on you. And that's the spiritual initiation. As you keep going forward and striving for what it is that you desire, okay, as you're waiting for that grand slam, holding up that trophy, as you're waiting for that, as you're going through the process, knowing and understanding that the working out, the practicing, the getting new coaches, the studying, the just being in the grind of it all, that energy is working on you. Though it may not be working out in the physical realm, creating a certain result, it is creating an internal result. And that internal result, that internal alchemy is what's necessary in order for you to get to the championship, in order for you to hold the trophy. And so when they asked Coco, how did it feel losing that French tournament or something like that, because she lost in the championship thing, she said it hurt. She said it hurt. And she said, but that loss prepared her for this win. So that loss did something to her character, did something to her heart, did something to her being to set her up to be the U.S. Open champion that she is today. All right. So understand that we all go through spiritual initiation. You're going to take some losses. There are going to be naysayers, gossipers, people who do not desire for you to win. You're going to have to practice detachment from the result and allow yourself to be in the process. This is spiritual initiation, but it is refining you, evolving you, and developing you into becoming the person you were designed and destined to be. So thank you to Coco Gauff for being such a beautiful example of staying in the work, staying present, continuously showing up, becoming the best version of yourself, and experiencing the rewards of that. That's my quick message for y'all, family. Leave a comment if you feel like you are in some sort of spiritual initiation right now. How are you managing it? Let me know in the comments. I definitely want to support you with that. Love you all. I see you on Patreon. Peace.